We are so excited to have Sky Bradshaw on today. So, when you think about making life decisions, focusing on future plans, or creating space within your inner self, we need lots of tools to expand our focus. That is when listening deeper to the truth of our destiny path with an intuitive divination can make a difference between being stuck in a cycle of release we need to move forward. So this, coupled with energy healing, is a part of Sky's wellness plan. Mumbo Sky Bradshaw has been doing divination and energy healing for over 30 years. And she is confident to help you walk in your future. So I'm so excited, Sky, to have you on. You are an intuitive, you are a tarot card reader, you are a spiritualist, and I am really excited today to talk to you about energy work and the intersection of energy work and creativity.
Great, absolutely. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So can you tell us a little bit about energy and the energy work that you do?
Sure. So I am a Reiki master teacher as well as an energy worker in general. I speak the language of energy, and so that allows me to kind of tap in and help other people try and learn their own personal energy language and what that means for them. Energy in itself, if we think about it, like we are a soul before we are anything else. And that is the energy of what we are. And so we have a physical body and we may try and eat right or exercise or take care of our physical. When we start feeling, sick, we, do what's good for us in order to maintain our physical body. And then we have an emotional body, and that is, how we feel about things, our thoughts and feelings, how they come up. And if we find ourselves stuck in those areas, then we usually seek help or try and, heal ourselves emotionally in whatever way we need. And so the energy body is just as much a part of us as the physical and the emotional, but sometimes we forget. And I usually tell people, like, one of the things we do is, like, we're taught when we're born, are you hungry? Are you tired? Do you need a change? Are you dirty? And so we focus on that physical in that way. And then when we're in our early 20s, we're like, oh my gosh, all these emotions I have to deal with, like, what is this going to do? And then we usually think physically when we think emotional, which says, like, okay, if I get too stressed, then I'm going to, have health deficits. If I'm, too tired, then, so we really put the mental, emotional in that physical realm. But it's usually when we're about 35 or 40, we're like, oh my gosh, what is my purpose? Like, what does that mean? What am I supposed to be doing with myself in the world? And that's your soul going, like, okay, I've waited a while for you to pay attention to me. I've waited for you to, like, tune in that I'm kind of like that base of all things that you are. And so that's your energy. And we can look at it tons of ways, because we have the chakra system, and we have the aura, and we have the meridians, and we have the soul base. And there are, like, tons of other ways to describe our energy. But the easiest way I allow people to kind of tap into the feeling of energy within you is, think of a time when you had butterflies in your stomach. Mm-hmm. Butterflies are a physical manifestation of movement in your tummy that usually comes from an emotional feeling or something that, you're excited or nervous about something. And that's technically the energy of the body going, like, okay, we should do something. We should, move, soothe ourselves, dive in, whatever the thing is. And so it's the energy that actually allows that physiological reaction from an emotional position. And so paying attention in that way lets us go, like, oh, well, what does my energy need right now? Like, what kind of soul workouts am I doing? Like, that sort of thing.
Yeah, and you have such a wealth of knowledge when it comes to soul workouts. I personally have gotten to do some of them and love them. But, I'm really curious how energy relates to creativity in our creative life.
Sure. So one of the things that we think about is the different ways that people approach things, the different languages that people use. And, the language of energy and the language of creativity connect to each other really deeply, because we know that if we explore our creativity, if we're more open in a creative way, that our intuition, the energy of intuition actually opens and grows. And the more we shut down creativity or try and control it or maneuver it, then the more logical, and you need a base of logic and intuition. But the idea is like creating, like having creativity actually opens the flows of energy in a way that allows them to be more fluid, allows them to be more organic and more broad. And you can think of the times when, mentally, emotionally, you were on a streak being creative. Like if you hit a logical speed bump in your world, like something really practical you had to pay attention to, paying bills or maintaining something, then
right.
creativity is kind of like, whoa, and it goes on hold. And so if you have that clear energy channel that allows the energy to flow through you and the creativity to be a part of that, then you're less likely to kind of hit those speed bumps when it comes to creative talent, because the energy in you is creative. It is that flow. It is organic. It's adaptable. When we create things, we may have a plan of where we're going, but we usually allow the river to take us of creativity, and that's that energy that flows forward. So it allows that balance of logic and intuition to come forward by engaging in creative aspects.
Yeah. And, what do you normally see? Like, how do you see people having blocked creative energy? Like,
Sure.
How does that show up in the people that come and work with you?
Absolutely. And so one of the things that we know about energy in general is that like energy attracts like energy. Energy multiplies, and energy is malleable. So that means where I am in the morning to where I am at night, energetically, I can grow and change, or connect in whatever way. So when we get into repetitive patterning, and it can be repetitive physical patterning or repetitive emotional patterning, then we also teach our energy to pattern. And there may be some styles of creativity that are distinct patterns, but we really usually don't go in and make specific type patterns. I'm a sequin flag or a textile artist, and
which they can see behind you.
And and even though there are a bunch of tiny little sequins sewn one by one in a pattern on the flag, I don't get stuck on like the technical patterning of it. I get more into the flow of it and how it's being born and how it's coming forward and the energy within it. And so if we think about like getting stuck in our lives, like whenever we've had a pattern of choices that we've made, that energy tells us like if I do A and B, then C will follow. And that's what happens in our creative energy, because we want to make sure that we are having the flow. Like no matter how specific your art is, you still move into that energy flow, which allows like the passage of energy to be really clear and clean inside of you. If you're following those learned channels, then you're going to end up having like repetitive outcomes, which says, I've done this same project 10 times, and I can see the similarity in all 10 of them, instead of having 10 distinct individual energy products that come from your creative aspect.
It reminds me a little bit of like when I think about like a repetitive creative pattern that I would do would be knitting, which is probably similar to sequencing in some ways, right?
Yeah.
But if I think too hard or try to control the process too hard, the tension and my knitting gets so tight it's almost impossible, right?
Right.
And so it makes it so then you almost can't knit, or it's like you break up the flow.
And you don't enjoy it as much.
Right. But when I'm not gripping so tightly, literally and figuratively speaking, it flows a heck of a lot better.
Exactly. And that's where we talk about like allowing the energy to lead the creation, which says like, is this coming from my deeper energy base, my soul connection, or is this a thing I am doing because it is what I've always done? Right. And that's where like creativity and energy are, sisters in that, because we know if we've done one thing creatively so many times, you will get that tight, and, and you're doing it to do it. You're not doing it to feel it or be it or create it. And so in energy, the same thing happens. We can get patterns that, whether we know that's a good choice for us or not, it's what we've always done. So we continue to do it because our energy is leading it. So energy healing or energy connection, being energetically aware, allows you to go like, yes, this is what worked for me the first time I did it and what I have done the last 5 times, but I'm really looking for something new, something creative, something different to come out of this. So how do I look at it from a different angle and create that space for the birth of something new?
Yeah. I mean, do you think that those that have really blocked energy in general in a certain area in their chakra system, or maybe aura or whatever it is, do you think it's harder for those that are not tending to their soul to be creative beings?
I think that it is, instead of saying harder for them to be creative, I would say easier for them to follow their patterns.
Oh, right. Okay.
And so, the capability of being creative is there, even for people who are like, I'm not crafty, like the capability of being creative is there to some extent, because maybe they doodle, or maybe they write, or maybe they just think out of the box. But so the capability is there. But what happens is, like, if you think of a clogged pipe, and so, energy flowing through the system is like a pipe, and it's not a straight line, and it's not linear. There's technically nothing in nature that's linear. But, we work in that, allowing the energies to flow as if they're flowing through pipes within the system. And the more constricted, the more times we do the same thing the same number of times, or the more we collect negative energy, or that we have that fear and self-doubt and not process it. It doesn't mean you don't get to have fear and self-doubt. We all do. But what you do with it allows for whether the pipes are going to get clogged up or whether they're going to stay clear channels. And then, the space between you and creativity becomes shorter, because it's easier to see how to get there instead of having to work its way through these challenge channels.
Yes, that makes so much sense.
Good.
So, okay, let's say that there's someone out there, maybe they're working on a book, and they're feeling like writer's block.
Right.
Are there energy or soul tending tools, like something that they could begin doing to let go of those patterns that are keeping them blocked?
Absolutely. So I'll start by saying I am a roots-centered person. So, the writer's block is probably actually like the leaves in the tree. And then we have the limbs that come down and the trunk that holds it in place, and then the roots that kind of make it stuck in whatever way. And so if we think of it along those lines, then we can say, like, what at my roots, if I start from the root up, creating healing, the root up, creating, success or nourishment or any of those things, then we know the leaves will actually become more green and more vibrant and grow, and the limbs will be broader. So my suggestion to people really would be I call them the 3 5s, and you've done them. And, it is my favorite thing to tell people, because if you don't know where you are, then you can't know where you are going. Right. And so the 3 5s are 3 5-minute check-ins a day that you allow yourself to tap into your physical body, your mental emotional body, your energetic body, any intuition that is coming forward, and then just something in general, like, what's the theme of this? Where's my major? How do I feel in whatever way? And as you know, through that one class, we can get really deep into this and how it works for you.
And everyone needs to take your class. And it's going to be online, so even those far away are going to be able to take it. So I have to plug that.
Yeah, it's a sturdy course that gets you to the roots. It allows you to build up your truth. And so even writer's block, which is that leaves like, okay, I know I have a concept, but I can't get it to flow. Like, the easiest way to start the flow is healing the roots. So if you know yourself, then you'll know whether, it's the topic that you're talking about, or whether there's something deeper in your psyche, or deeper in your energy, or deeper in your emotional position, or even physically that's creating that boundary for you getting there. So that would be the number one thing that I would tell people, because once you know where you are, then you know like why a direction doesn't feel good. Is it self-sabotaging? Is it that it really isn't the direction you're supposed to be going in? Is it needs to be just twisted or changed in some way to create growth? And so that knowing yourself is really valuable and important.
Yeah. And so I just want to recap that because I just think it's so powerful. Your tool is the 3 5s. So 3 5-minute check-ins a day where you are writing down where your monkey mind is, where you are mentally, so to speak, with that monkey mind, how your physical body feels, how your emotional body feels, energetically, what's the feeling, what's the intuition saying.
Right. Yeah. And energy, like energy in your body. So it might be I feel, my energy is heavier in my body. And for people who haven't really done a lot of energy work or aren't familiar with it, you'll be able to feel the difference between, like when we look at intuition comes from a deeper place. You can think right now of, deja vu that you've had at some point in time. The feeling that you have when you have deja vu is like, oh, I know something that I don't know, like what's about to happen right now.
Right. Yeah.
That's like an intuitive feeling. Energy definitely will feel like either a warmth in some place or a tingly in some place or a heaviness in some place. And so you'll be able to recognize, especially if you go in deeper after logging your 3 5s, then you'll know where your chakra system is and what that might mean if you feel heavy in your gut or your heart and things along those lines. But knowing first is the building block of getting there. So do it in the morning, do it in the afternoon when you have the most influx as far as like external or environmental challenges, and then do it in the evening as you're reflecting on your day.
And that alone will cure writer's block because you got to write to do it, right?
Exactly. And right, you're about yourself. So you're bringing, we know when we come from in out, then things work more clearly in that way. So it's a good way to get you connected to that kind of energy as well as repetitive action, because if you do 3 5s and you're tapping in 3 times a day for 5 minutes, then also you're changing the repetitive action of non-writing to the action of writing.
That's so good. Well, Sky, thank you for sharing your deep words of wisdom as always. And I know that you have a special gift for those tuning in.
I do. So if you, after tuning in, go to my website and sign up for my newsletter, then you will receive an email back with a code to be able to download one of my meditations for free. And that can get you started on maybe touching into your energy, because it'll be the chakra meditation.
Ooh, I love the chakra meditation. And we'll link to that below, but it is www.tarottbysky.com.
Yes.
Yes. And I just want to also plug, if you have the chance to get a reading with Sky, it is wonderful. So definitely do that as well. But Sky, thank you so much for being a part of our creativity summit.
I feel really grateful to be a part of this.
I'm grateful that you're a part of it too. Thank you.
Thank you.